My name is Denzi. Welcome to base camp.
Everest Base Camp, Tibet, is situated at an altitude of 5,000 meters and overshadowed by the mighty Everest. It was at this point that Mallory and Irvin departed back in 1924 for their North Face summit attempt. And while Everest from base camp now looked much as it did back in 1924, the glacial formations en route have changed dramatically over the years. Leaving base camp at around 10 a.m., one heads up the large valley floor of the Rongbuk Glacier across several rivers to the eastern fork. Here at 5,400 meters, the grey glacial moraine sprawls out along the valley floor below the shadow of Guangming Peak. Grey glacial rivers gushing down the sides of the glaciers, one heads across loose shale, dust and rock towards Camp 1 at an altitude of 5,460 meters.
We're up at Camp 1 at the moment. It's a very different kind of walking here because you're walking on tremendous amounts of loose shale and tons of rock. So it tends to be quite slippery getting a foothold, and that's really what makes you tired. Other than that, it gets quite chilly in the afternoon, particularly around about 4. I must say I take my hat off to the yaks because these yaks do the most phenomenal work. They get loaded with about 120 kilograms of weight and they traverse the same kind of rocky shale that we do.
As one treks up towards Intermediate Camp, one soon finds oneself heading across lateral glacial moraines, which are the edges of the glacier containing all the rock and debris ploughed up by the main glacier itself. Beneath one's feet lies thousands of years of solid compacted ice, and towering above, imposing craggy peaks. During the course of the day, the weather is prone to sudden change, from sunny skies to snowfalls and back to clear skies. Navigating around glacial crevices, Intermediate Camp gradually appears, surrounded by white sail-like ice pinnacles.
At the moment we're at 5,684 meters. We have been walking on the Rongbuk Glacier for quite a long way since we've left base camp. And as you see behind me, all the ice pinnacles sticking out.
Again, a tremendous amount of rock and shale. We've come up against some of the most incredible scenery, and we're camping tonight on another glacial moraine. It's hard to think that we're sleeping on ice tonight. It started snowing earlier and there's a lot of cloud coming in, so they're saying that we might get snow tonight.
Up on this glacial bed, one wakes to the sound of the yaks heading down to the river to drink. And after a warm meal, one crosses a river and begins the trek up the slippery rock and debris-covered glacier towards Camp 3. Upon reaching the top of the glacier, the route heads along the central ridgeline into the Surak Highway, an exquisitely imposing facade of ice pinnacles. Walking along, these towers of ice begin to transform themselves into giant cones of whipped-up meringue, providing a magnificent backdrop to the prayer flags strung along the route. Neatly folded or secured under a rock, as symbols of the impermanence of life, Everest watches down as these prayers are slowly carried off by the wind. After about 5 to 7 hours of trekking across rocky moraines and icy slopes, Camp 2 appears at the confluence of the Rongbuk and Changtse glaciers at an altitude of 6,000 meters. After waking up to the most serene and beautiful snow-dusted camp, the trek to Camp 3, or Advanced Base Camp, takes about 3 hours. Here, incredible ice caves appear, so large one could drive a bus through them. Formed by weaknesses in the ice, their size is increased by the melting of ice during the day and constantly falling rock and stone. Climbing to an altitude of 6,400 meters, the route heads through some of the most magnificent scenery. Stalagmites and stalactites line the route, alongside frozen lakes and a fairyland of ice until one arrives at Advanced Base Camp, the last camp that non-Everest climbers are permitted to reach. It was from this spot on the morning of 6th of June 1924 that George Mallory and his partner Andrew Irvine headed up the North Col on what was to be their summit bid for Everest. 2 days later, at around 1 p.m, Odell spotted the pair high on the northeast ridge. The clouds then closed in, and Mallory and Irvine were never seen alive again. Whether they were the first to reach the summit of Everest or not will remain a mystery. Every year, climbers from around the world come to Everest in an attempt to reach her mighty summit. At 8,848 meters, she commands the respect of all those who come to challenge her.